Families. I am Brent Lopez. I am one of the first grade teachers.
I am Jessica Colella.
I am Elizabeth Conway.
I'm Megan Freeman.
And I'm Jeffrey Gerke.
We are going to spend tonight giving you some information about the curriculum or the information that we are giving your students. And then we are also going to add a little bit of expectations and askings from you all as we work through this year.
All right, to start, we want to just go over our first grade philosophy with you guys. We believe each child is unique and we recognize the importance of individual differences. We believe in the dignity and worth of each person. We believe each child can become an independent, creative thinker. And lastly, we believe a love of learning is essential to lifelong learning. And then to just go over an overview of our first grade district curriculum. So this is district-wide. For phonics, reading, and writing, we use Lucy Calkins' Units of Study. We use Eureka Math. We have a social studies and science curriculum. We use Heggerty for phonemic awareness. As you heard earlier in the school-wide presentation, we have Leader in Me. We have our social emotional learning, which is second step, and of course, our special area classes. For language arts, we use a balanced literacy approach. So what that includes is read alouds, which is the teacher reading aloud a text to the students. We do shared readings, which is usually shorter passages, and we read that together as a class. Guided reading includes small groups. So your student would be in a small group with the teacher and a few other students as well, working on, like a targeted skill or a reading at their level. And then of course, independent reading, where your student is usually, at their table spot, reading text at their level. And then we have our instructional focus. So reading comprehension, vocabulary, phonemic awareness, phonics, spelling, fluency, grammar, and writing.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of our language arts curriculum and what some of the things are that your child will be learning. For our reading and writing units throughout the year, they both follow the same workshop model. So it gives you kind of a picture of what their day looks like when they're in reading and writing time. So that workshop model starts off for them with a mini lesson, learning a strategy or a skill, and then giving them that independent work time that they can go off and apply the skills and strategies that they've learned, and also even have some small group time with their teacher or even one-on-one time to practice and learn some new things that they're ready for at that moment. And then we always come back together to share what we've learned. And the writing units that the students will be participating in this year are narrative writing units, and we'll start the year off with writing some personal narratives with stories that they, things that have actually happened to them. By the end of the year, they'll be ready to write their own fiction narrative stories after they've learned a lot about the patterns that are present in all fiction stories, and they'll be able to write some fairy tales and realistic fiction that'll be very fun. And we'll also spend some time writing, I should say, information books, teaching books, where they can teach about something they know a lot about, and opinion writing, where they can write their own reviews about things that they really like, because first graders have lots of opinions. And then in reading and our reading units throughout the year, there are so many concepts, skills, strategies that your child will be learning. But just to give you an idea of a few of them, we'll start off the year learning some good habits for independent reading, learning some good habits for solving hard words, strategies they can try anytime they're reading, like checking the picture, trying different sounds in the words 2 ways to see which sound a vowel might make, for example, a long sound or a short sound for like a letter A, maybe the breaking a word into parts, those sorts of things. They'll also be learning to kind of check if a word is correct. Does it look right in the sentence? Does it sound right? Does it make sense with what's happening and make sense in the sentence? They will be spending some time this year also reading nonfiction and learning to use those text features that appear in nonfiction, like diagrams, headings, labels, captions, all of those sorts of things. And some comprehension as well. We spend a lot of time retelling stories and learning and telling about the characters, what they're like, the lessons that they learned, and more. We also have a phonics curriculum. We'll be spending lots of time reading and writing to apply the phonics concepts as students learn them. And there's lots of things that we'll be learning throughout the year that you'll hopefully see as your child is reading at home and writing things at home. Things like consonant blends, digraphs. You can see those on the screen, so I won't read them all to you. We spend a lot of time learning the difference between short vowel and long vowel sounds, especially that silent E, or the bossy E as we'll call it. Vowel teams, contractions, compound words, are controlled vowels. And we'll also spend time practicing reading and writing snap words, or sight words, they might also be called, those words that students will kind of need to know by sight.
Switching gears to math, we have 4 major areas that we cover in first grade: measurement and data, operations and algebraic thinking, number and operations in base 10, geometry. We also have a big focus on fact fluency, as you heard in the first session. We use an app called MobyMax to increase students' fact fluency. We are also really excited to go back to math manipulatives and have more hands-on math games and all that good stuff we miss from years before. Our first 2 math units are a little lengthier. You'll probably notice that there's a lot of focus on strategies for addition, subtraction, and just building up your students' toolbox, so they have a lot of strategies to solve those problems.
We will cover physical, earth, and life science in first grade. And your child will learn about the movements of light and sound. They'll explore the Earth's atmosphere and patterns. And they will investigate how plants and animals survive in their natural habitat. There will be hands-on experiments, rich investigations, and group work. And there will also be real-world applications where students will explore, observe, and investigate. In social studies, we'll focus on responsible citizenship, families long ago and today, holidays around the world, and community economics and geography. For second step, that's our social emotional curriculum. It's done once a week, and the lessons are meant to give students tools for their everyday lives at home and at school. There are also weekly home links that are sent out by the school. And we focus on empathy training, impulse control, anger management, bully prevention, and personal safety. And then for special area classes, students go to the gym, music, and art class for 60 minutes per week. They receive 90 minutes of Spanish instruction each week. And then they go to the library for instruction for 30 minutes a week. And that's in addition to their book checkout time.
Our homeschool rules are be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. And when students contribute to those rules, they are allowing us to help foster their learning and teach them. And then once we get into the classroom, we set different expectations or community agreements through Leader in Me, where students kind of get to create their own rules. They get to have some buy-in. And then once we take off from our rules, we go more into the Leader in Me curriculum, where we teach students about the habits of being a successful leader. And we've been working on those 7 habits the last 7 days. Tomorrow will be the 8th and final day. And then we'll switch over to about a 30-minute block each week where we get to focus on these specific skills that would create a leader. And your student will continue that journey as they progress through homeschool. And then we have another 30-minute block where students are doing project-based learning, where we figure out the things that they are interested in, and we help create an entire project that they work on for several weeks. They come up with a plan, they start to work with their team, they start to research, and then they get to create something based on their findings or their initial questions about a topic. And then we will also be supported by Ms. Anderson, who will come in 30 minutes for about every 6-week rotation. And then after the 6 weeks, she'll come back. And then I will pass it over to our benchmark assessment to Ms. Kalala.
Sure. We do benchmark assessing for each student 3 times a year, once during each trimester. We're about to start our fall benchmarking next week. We benchmark students in reading. We use AimsWeb to benchmark math skills. And then we use another program called ESGI. And that's kind of a bunch of different skills. We do sight words, we do like CVC words, and we have a few math skills that we assess. And that gives us like a baseline of information so that we can structure our instruction to see the growth from benchmark to benchmark. Now, our common classroom assessments are the same throughout the district. All students will participate in common classroom assessments in reading, writing, word study or phonics, and math. And these assessments help guide our instruction and tell us what students already know and what they need to learn. And it helps us to differentiate our lessons to meet the needs of our students. It helps us to create our groupings so we can target skills in small groups. And so for each unit of reading, writing, word study, and math, we do pre-assessments prior to the instruction, and then we use post-assessments after the instruction to see the growth. These assessments also help us for goal setting, both individual and classroom goal setting for students.
And then we have win time, which is what I need time. And this is derived from all of that information that we get from those assessments. Once we have all of that information, we get to group our students based on their performance. And then we get to work with them 4 times a week for 30 minutes. And in that 30 minutes, we get to target both the reading, well, we have 2 30-minute blocks, 1 30-minute block for reading and 1 30-minute block for math, where we get to meet with different groups and we get to hit their specific targeted goals in reading and math. So no matter where your student lies on their ability, we get to meet them exactly where they are, and we get to continue to challenge them. Ms. Anderson will also be helping us with some differentiation as well, because we don't get to all the groups all of the time. So she'll be able to help us see more groups as well.
We are hoping that you will support your child's learning in a variety of ways, including reading the classroom newsletter that is sent to you from your teacher every week, I believe, or every month or a couple weeks, depending on your classroom. There's a lot of important information, including reminders, things that we're studying and learning. Sometimes we'll ask for extra supplies or things that we need, and important dates are listed in the newsletter regularly. Talk to your child about what they're doing in school. Most of the time they're gonna, if you ask how's school, and they said it's fine, it was fine. They just don't want to talk about it. But the newsletter really helps to help you communicate with your child about what they're doing. So you can draw from that newsletter and ask your child about it. Also, reading to your child is a great way to help us foster your child's love of reading. Have your child read to you, you read back and forth. Any reading at any time for as long as they live will be beneficial for your child. And then also fostering your child's independence and responsibility. So have them help you pack their backpack so they know exactly what's in their backpack every single day, where they can find what they need. Winter weather's coming up sooner rather than later. So help them learn to zip their coats and the order to put things on, like your coat and then your gloves and then your hat. Those are things that, sometimes get missed. And then when we have a classroom full of students, it takes us a really long time to go around and zip coats and things. So if we have some kids that can already do it, that's great. Lately, we're noticing some social distancing that needs some assistance. The kids are really excited to be back together, and we cannot blame them, but we're definitely always reminding them to stay 3 to 6 feet apart, making sure their masks are up, and that they're not infringing on someone's personal space, because it's hard when you're 6 and 7 and super excited to see another 6 and 7-year-old within an arm's length. So if you can give gentle reminders for that, we would really appreciate it. Celebrations. So celebrations are a little trickier now because we can't invite parents in to help us celebrate special days, like birthdays. So, each teacher is kind of navigating some of those celebrations, and they will reach out to you about birthday celebrations and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. We definitely don't celebrate with food, so we can't be sending in cupcakes and cookies and things like that. We definitely work hard to find ways to make children feel special. We also celebrate skills that children are learning, and projects that they've finished, goals that they've set and that they've reached, or any type of growth that children are making throughout the day or the week or the month or the year. We celebrate it, and we make children feel special and excited for their successes.
Okay, so that wraps up our presentation, unless my colleagues have anything else to add.
I do not.
All right, and if you have any specific questions about anything that you've heard or any unanswered questions, please feel free to reach out to your individual teacher. Usually, if anything varies, they are the person who can speak most appropriately to your question. So we appreciate your time. We hope you guys have a great night, and we look forward to seeing your kids tomorrow.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.